Hello, everybody. Welcome to the post-mortem of Spurs 2, Manchester City 2. Get that timer off my screen! Yeah? How are you all doing? Not good. Not good is the answer to the question that I posed myself and indeed to the wider people. These are funeral tunes. Amazing. Bad. Things have happened. I was going to say the good news, but I guess it's bad news. The bad news, well, the good news for the purposes of this video and for explanation is that you could probably just go pull my stream from, like, the Leeds game or from, I don't know, basically a lot of other games from this season. And it would, like, be a repeat of the problems that we have experienced this season, going from one half to the second. The problem hasn't changed, and Fenway did a really good comment I'm going to highlight in a second. The problems haven't changed. They are still the same. They are ever present. Now, it's pretty bad that they have not been resolved yet, and it's the 1st of February, 7:37. Fulham, great answer, true citizen. 1st of Feb, 2026, it's 7:37 in the evening, and we're still looking at issues that we saw in August, by the way. August. Also against Spurs, which is interesting. The purpose of today's video is to have a little bit of a therapy sesh, of course, and to just have a chat about what on earth happened in that game, what went well, what went bad, what did Spurs do to ultimately, I was going to say win the game because it felt like a loss, ultimately get a point and get a draw. And what does it actually mean? Can it actually be solved this season? Or is it something that we're just going to have to cope with and accept that for a second season in a row, the squad building has been questionable and poor? We're going to have a look at all of those things and more today. We will also be doing Finalysis player ratings because I haven't done them in a while. So make sure to stick around because we're going to do some player ratings together, also of the players who started today. I was going to say, how are we all doing? But I can tell that we are not having a good time. We will discuss this, Jace, absolutely. It's something that I have been discussing all season. A stat muse, we haven't in 2026 scored a second half goal. That does not surprise me. This is frustrating. This is frustrating. If this is true, I'm going to take you at face value and say that Rodri said that the reason why we didn't win is because of this. Now, the problem with this mindset, first of all, is I think this is weak. I think this is a weak mentality to have from our players. And Rodri's a very strong mentality. So if he has said this, I'm not just attributing this to Rodri, and I have seen this a lot. The problem is this. This is a 2026 problem. The Sunderland game, okay? I was totally willing, and I think it was fair to accept that that was a one-off. Because the second half, we created big chance after big chance after big chance after big chance, and somehow it ended 0-0. Haaland missed an open goal. Savio missed an open goal. Savio had another shot. I think Gvardiol had a couple of great opportunities. That was a one-off. We've dropped points, and it wasn't really our fault. Hello, Potato. How are you? And hello, everyone, by the way. I was willing to chalk that off. I lost my patience as early as the game after that, which was the Chelsea one. Lots of people that are totally entitled to their opinion, I don't agree, wanted to frame that as similar to the Sunderland game. Oh, it's just another one of those games. I can't accept that. I could not accept that based on the Chelsea game. The situation was not the same. Okay? Same with Brighton. Yeah? The situation wasn't the same for me. Exeter happens, Newcastle happens. That's nice. But the problems were also there against United. The problems were also there against Bode Glimt. And look, it's lovely that we beat the worst team in the Premier League at home. And it's lovely that we beat an appalling Galatasaray at home. Those things are lovely. But this was not solving the problem. I'm so sorry, Fenway. If you're still here, I wanted to put your comment on the screen, but it's now gone too high up for me. If you're still here, can you please put your comment back in? Thank you, because I liked your comment. I want to put it on the screen. If you can remember it, let me know. FG, thank you so much for the super chat. Low energy, demotivated. How do we carry on for the remainder of the season? Oh yeah, we'll get into all of that. Don't you worry. It can't just be as simple as, oh, it's just a little baby thing that we need to tweak, or we just need to, or it's just a one-off, etc., etc. Sometimes I think it is a one-off. I felt Sunderland was a one-off. That was a ridiculous game. But it can't continue to be it. It can't be Sunderland and Chelsea and Brighton and Man United and Bodø/Glimt and Spurs. That is not one-off. That is a pattern. And I'm well okay to hang tight and wait for patterns to materialize and not panic. I think I've got a reputation as being quite measured and calm, and I will wait to fully assess a situation. This is why I didn't lose my head in the second game of the season when we lost against Spurs and everyone was losing it, saying, well, the title's over now. Well, no, that's silly. That's a silly thing to say. But it's come to a point now where it's not possible to ignore. People will want to put all of the blame onto a player or a couple of players who didn't perform, because that's easy. It happened last season, it's happening this season. Savio, Lewis, Foden, Diaz, Trafford, Donnarumma, Nico, other Nico, Doku. Doesn't really matter. Everyone, Haaland, everyone has been cast in that light at least once this season, I feel like. Basically everyone. Reinders we can throw in there as well. But this is a different team with a different shape, a different setup, with different players, and it's the same outcome. Because it isn't one player who is the problem. And specifically today, it cannot be the attack is to blame. Now, they should have done better, because Haaland missed a dink, and a few times, and Vicario did a really good save for Shirky's shot, and Reinders' header, maybe he could have done a little bit better, etc., etc., and there are a few examples of that. But if you score 2 goals at Spurs, you've done enough to win the game. Especially if you've got a 2-goal cushion at half-time. You've done enough to win the game. So the fault can't, in the main, the first port of call, and I get it because we like attacking, we like to think about the attackers and we think about the chances that we missed and blah, 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 blah. The problem can't just be do better in front of goal. Because we scored twice. Because Shirky scored a goal and Semenyo scored a goal. We scored 2 goals. We had a 2-goal cushion. It can't just be on the attackers. Surely. That can't be the first port of call when... If we are going to blame an individual, and we shouldn't, it can't just be that, can it? The problem is far more fundamental. The problem is far more structural. The problem is far more to do with the squad. And I'm going to come to Fenway's comment before I forget it again. Because I'm such a little bastard, aren't I? I'll come to the chat in a second, by the way. I just want to air my thoughts first of all. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There were 2. Yes, let me find them. We have no solution for when a team ups their aggression in the press in the second half. It's part of Pep's tactics. It's part of squad building, part of fitness. I think it's fair to say it won't be fixed this season. Squad isn't at full optimization. Only reason we've been entertaining the title chatter is Arsenal haven't been as dominant as we thought. Yes. This is the one that I wanted to highlight, but they're both correct. This is it, in a nutshell. essentially. There are lots of moving parts. Players being out injured hasn't helped. And the fitness of some players hasn't helped. Etc, etc, etc. But ultimately, what is happening in second halves of games? And I said it in 2025, as early as like August, September. I think the first time I aired it properly was the Brentford game, maybe. Because that was when people kept asking me. I think I remember there was a moment in LNobbins where I think we were disagreeing about it, actually. And I was asked, why do you think what's happening in the second half? And I'm going to keep pushing what I've been saying for however many months. As Fenway says here, as soon as an opponent decides to engage higher up the pitch, as soon as they decide to try to overrun our midfield, as soon as they decide to ask us real questions of the phase 1, and indeed second phase, we crumble. And that's what Spurs did today, so credit to them, and credit to them. Because what did Frank do? Well, in that first half, how many times were we saying that Spurs have no midfield? Our players have acres of space. And that's why we looked so good in that first half. Because they let us be that good. Because they gave us all the space. So we didn't have a problem at all. Second half, what happens? He brings on Sarr, who's a midfielder who will run around a lot and will ask questions. Went to a back four. That also made them more compact off ball in their 4-4-2. But ultimately, they then turned the game into, when it came to the midfield, they overran us with bodies. They turned it into duels. They turned it into second balls. They turned it into battles. They turned it into physicality. They pressed higher up the pitch. And we are, and this is going back to what I was saying about how it can't just be, it's never just been one player to blame for this. Even though I do believe there are, in respect to the issue I'm going to come on to now, there are certain individuals where the blame across the season is more warranted and more weighted, but never, ever, 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 ever has it ever been that. And if I ever have said that, then I'm wrong and I apologise, because I shouldn't have said that. If I said it in a moment or whatever, I apologise if I did ever say that, because that would have been wrong to say. Today, so for example, like, people don't like Donnarumma. I like Donnarumma. I think he's a bit of a problem sometimes, but today he was not on any level and he was the best player on the pitch and his ball playing was actually very, very good. This proves the point that it is not as straightforward as one player is the problem for these concerns. Whether it's a goalkeeper, or the defence, or the midfield, or the attack, and the combination therein. Losing Gvardiol hasn't helped either. But the reality is that City, when teams come onto us and become a bit more aggressive and a bit more direct, then we do not know how to handle it. I don't think Donnarumma was good. I think he was brilliant. I'd say it was fantastic today. So when a team like Spurs commits more physicality to the midfield and therefore overruns us physically, if you don't have the technical flooring in the midfield and in full-back as well, I suppose, and just all over the pitch to compensate for the physicality, then you're going to have a bad time. And you're going to lose the ball all the time. There is more than one way to win a midfield battle. It doesn't just have to be play all the most physical players on the pitch right now. Because when the second goal went in, we had arguably the most, and indeed from that point onwards, we had the most physical off-ball midfield, whatever you want to say, that we could have mustered. We had Rodri, we had Nico, we had Bernardo. So when that happens, do you have the technical flooring to retain the ball, to sustain pressure, to sustain possession? The answer to that question is no. We do not. So we can't fall back on that. Because we don't have a player like prime Kyle Walker. We have Nunes. We don't have João Cancelo at left back. We have, for at that point, it was O'Reilly. Although Aït-Nouri will hopefully improve that if he stays fit and whatnot. We do have Rodri, that's fine, but it's a Rodri returning from injury. We have Bernardo, but it's not Bernardo at his peak. We don't have David Silva. We don't have Kevin De Bruyne. And then there are lots of players in the squad who are really good at doing that. Cherki is one. Bernardo should be one. Rodri is one. Aït-Nouri is one. There are a number. I haven't said them all. There are a number there. But there aren't enough at the level that we need, considering the style of play that is coming against us. And worryingly, I do not believe that there is actually a solution this season, unfortunately. I think the solution lies in the summer. And that is very defeatist. And apologies if that makes me a loser, and I think it probably does. I don't know. I don't know if there is a I don't know if there is a solution. I'll come to the chat in a second, guys. Please don't spam. I won't answer people that spam. Please be patient. I will come to the chat in a second, though. Just trying to air my thoughts, first of all. I forgot what I was saying now. That's what I was saying. I don't think there's a solution in what we have right now. One could argue that Foden should have come on earlier, and that probably would have helped. But it's the fact, it's not just about today. It's a wider trend. It's a wider trend. I'm talking about today's game, but I'm also talking about City this season, because everyone's asking, why is this happening in the second half every single time? It can't it can't keep going on like this, can it? It can. It's the title of the stream. And this was, so I've, by the way, guys, if you're watching this stream, you might not want to watch it, but new series idea. It's not a new idea or anything, but I want to do uploads like 10 to 20 minutes where it's like my immediate thoughts after a match. I've recorded it. It'll be uploaded tonight. I think it's a good video. But this was something I said in that, and I stumbled upon it. But sometimes you just need to speak a lot, and then sometimes enough words will come out that make sense. This was how I surmised it, and how I'm going to present it now. Manchester City, this season, are way too malleable. That's normally a good thing. But what I mean by that is we are far too easy to influence depending on what our opponent does. We are too malleable and too easy to be influenced and moulded. Why was City worse in that second half? Well, because Spurs made us worse in that second half. We changed in that second half because Spurs changed and forced us to change in that second half. That is a problem. We are no longer playing our football. We are playing the football that our opposition wants us to play. I do think Arsenal will win the league, yes. That is not Guardiola's City. Guardiola are the ones who dictate the terms of engagement. Not anymore. Not this season, not last. That's concerning. That all the team has to do is what Spurs did in that second half, and you can get at us really, really easily. No longer are City difficult to play against. And how do we mend that, asks True Citizen. I don't think there is a solution this season, to be honest. I think the only solution is sign players in the summer who can help circumvent that. Signing an Anderson helps. Signing an option at right back longer term helps, if not in the short term. I don't think we're too far away, in fairness. Perhaps a different shape that I've not thought of would help. Perhaps changing philosophy would help. That's never going to happen, obviously. But ultimately, I just don't think that it can be solved this season. And that's bad squad building. And that is on Viana. And I've been a big critic of him. So sorry if it's getting boring. But even though I think that we are building something really good at this club, I really think that in 5 years' time, maybe even sooner, maybe like 2 or 3 years' time, I think that the squad will be in such a healthy, wonderful position. And I think we'll be a properly elite team again. We are still elite. We're only second in the table. We are still second. It's not like we're shit. I do think we are building towards something, but is it acceptable to have a 2-season gap, given what City is? I don't know if it is. I don't know if it is. A lot of work should have been done a lot sooner. As soon as the treble year happened, if this was the direction we were going to go in, you had to take action in 2023. And that's not just Viana's fault. Obviously, he wasn't here at the club. But I have lots of questions as to the general squad building across different eras of directors of football, whatever. That's quite doom and gloom. I don't think there's a solution this season. Willing to be proven wrong. I love getting proven wrong because it means I'm learning. I was proven wrong with a 4-2-2 against Wolves and Galatasaray, maybe less so today. But I would love to get proven wrong, but I don't know. Let me come to the chat. Sorry, it sounds very upset. I'm just a little bit, yeah, I guess defeatist is the right word, because you might be thinking, Nobbins, how are you being so calm considering we just threw a 2-goal lead? And I think part of the reason is that I have come to terms and accepted that we aren't winning the title. And that makes this a lot more straightforward. I can look at everything with a clear vision of, well, I'm pretty sure these are the problems, and I just don't think it can be resolved. So hence why I'm able to hopefully be quite level-headed and reasonable here. Hello, Ivana. What will your solution be for the summer? Bring in Anderson or an Anderson type. That helps a lot. Bring in an actual right back. That also would help a lot. And then it depends on outgoings from there. I think if you bring in improvements in those two areas, I don't think City are that far off if we continue to play like this anyway. And we're going to do player ratings as well, guys, so make sure to stick around. Alvarez hasn't scored in 12 games in La Liga affairs. Yeah, leave a like on the video, guys, or you will get banned. This is an autocracy. Actually, no, I lied. This is a theocracy, and this is the Church of Nobbins. And if you don't pay rent, yeah? If you don't contribute to the, what's the thing they go round? The communion, that's something else entirely. You know the thing where they bring around the basket, you put money into it, yeah? The church roof is going to collapse. Nobbins needs likes. Nobbins needs likes. Yes? Exactly, you're all getting banned. We failed to deal with long balls. Yes, exactly. And how many times has this happened? And it's not necessarily a bad thing to not be able to deal with a team that goes a bit more direct and whatnot. But if that happens, then you have to be so technically competent. Big up to Elby for the raids, that's my boy. You have to be so technically able, and your technical first touch floor, whatever you want to call it, has to be so high. And we are not that side anymore, so we can't. We can't. Time to get Pepe out. I thought he retired already. If it's so easy to get at us, I don't understand why teams don't start the game like that. Great question. I don't understand either. I don't understand either. They should. And maybe they'll learn. But you're absolutely right. They should do it a lot sooner. Perhaps they don't want to because they're scared. Because it is a higher risk approach. But if you've not got anything to lose, because normally what happens is City do well in the first half, second half, so that obviously they're winning in the first half, so the opponent has to do it. It's probably just because it's done out of necessity. It is a higher risk way of playing. If City can then hit you on the counter, then you're fucked. I think the down period is a necessary part of the squad building process. I understand where you're coming from, because it can't... If we've gone from one of the oldest squads in the league to one of the youngest squads in the league over the space of a season or so, then I agree that there has to be an expectation that the transformation can't happen overnight. I totally get that. But if I'm being fair and reasonable, in theory and in reality, City is one of the best run clubs in the world, and I expect the best run club in the world to be able to rebuild its squad a lot better than it has done since 2023. I don't think you should ever be in a situation where you have 2 seasons of nothingness, basically. Seemingly, that who knows, maybe win the Champions League. But I don't think that's acceptable. I think that there was no, let's take the midfielder. Actually, no, that's funny. We can take both positions. The 2 positions that we've basically needed since 2023 still haven't addressed. I hope you're right, sad person. I'm a sad person. Oh, I'm not sad. I'm just upset and confused. Yeah, you pay rent. Big up to you, Sarah. Pay like rent, guys. Pay like rent. I am a totalitarian. It's a theocracy. It's a church of nobbins, yes? This is a religious dictatorship. Pay up. Yeah? Pay up and pray. You worms. Collection, I think that was the word I was after. Yeah. Take off your shoes. Near the thumbs up, yes. Pass the like offering bowl. Big up to you, Stacey. Thank you for supporting the channel. They did, true citizen, yes. What are we saying, guys? What are we saying? Bournemouth started like that and they scored, says Bernadish Soap. But thankfully that day we were fit. Etihad wasn't built in a day. Thank you, Lucky Tries. You're paying rent good. Good boy. Or girl. Would people be happy with a Carabao and an FA Cup? Well, I think right now you've got to accept that, haven't you? I mean, that sounds incredibly... I would more than happily take a cup double in a bad year for like what we expect City to be. If you can't win the league, then win something else. Yeah, I'd be content with a cup double and doing well in the Champions League based on what I think this squad is. And I've tried to be positive about this squad, and I really, really thought that there could be a title-winning side. And you know what? I'm not blaming injuries for 1 second, but I think it is a reason. I think in order for this team to be title-winning, certainly a player like Gvardiol has to be available. Has to be available for the majority of the season. I do still think that it could have happened, but it required nearly everything to go in City's favour. We would have had to have had a mental run of players not being injured and everyone being available and Rodri coming back to the player we know he is. But that's asking a lot. That's asking a lot. The squad is good. There's no doubt about it. Of course it is good. But the squad building isn't acceptable and isn't good enough. It's fine to have lots of good individuals, and we do have a lot of good individuals, but there's a lot of players here that don't necessarily mesh well, and the notable absences of traits in our team, the silence is deafening as to that. You get me? Mentality isn't of winning, squad doesn't have hunger, says Just. I don't think I agree. I don't think I agree. Think Rodri could leave? Nah, I think he'll sign an extension. I think it's fine. The Giants' biggest disappointment. I think he could have done better with like one of those headers today. To be honest. It's not our lowest, but we're heading that way with the players and mentality. Our players have dropped off. We can't just get a game over the line, let alone the title, says Dora. I'll repeat, I do think that we're just a couple players away from having a fantastic squad, but right now, It's a thing. It's a thing. That's fairs, Louise. I would love a League Cup. I'd love an FA Cup. And I'd love us to do well. I'd love us to do well in the Champions League because on a given day, anyone can beat anyone. In fairness, Brendan, I didn't see Solanke scoring that goal. I don't see anyone scoring that goal because how many scorpion kicks have there been in Premier League history? I can think of the Solanke one and the Giroud one. I can't think of that many more who've scored a scorpion kick in the Premier League. It must be single digit, surely. It might be less than 5. I don't want to ban fans of other clubs. Absolutely not. If anything, I want fans of other clubs to come onto this channel. The whole point of this, hopefully, channel is to try to be reasonable and pragmatic. But if people are like trolling, then obviously they can get banned. But generally, no. I want fans of other clubs to be here to learn about City, and we can learn from them as well. Right. Let's go through. Let's go through some individual like players maybe, or like talk about. Let's be chronological. So I've had a big rant there about what the issues have been this season. But let's now have like a chronology of what happened in that first half, and then the second half, and dissect the goals a little bit more so, and then we'll get on to player ratings. So, what was City's setup first of all? It was 4-2-2 again. We saw it work well against Wolves. We saw it work well against Galatasaray. It was Semenyo and Haaland leading the line. And you had Shirky and O'Reilly as your two number 10s behind them. Behind them, you had Rodri and Bernardo at the base. You had a full-back pairing of Ait-Nouri and Nunes, who were the chief width holders. Yes. Yes. No. No. Wait. Hang on. One sec. I'm not going to put the tactics board. It's not interesting enough. I think I've got that wrong. Let me just put it in my head. Let me put it on the pitch. One sec. O'Reilly there. Now you had Bernardo and Ait-Nouri dropping a bit deeper, haven't you? Sorry. O'Reilly dropping a little bit deeper. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Bernardo and O'Reilly would often drop a little bit deeper. Yes, I have created. It was more of like a 2-3-5. That's what it was. It was a 2-3-5, sorry. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. I'm going to show you. I can literally just press a button, it's here. Yeah, that's class. I'm so smart, aren't I? There we go. 2-3-5, but a different way of getting into it because we had two strikers up top. So more of like a 2-3-3-2? Question mark? Something like that. That's what we did. Yeah. That's what I was trying to do in my brain. I was like, it can't be a 2-3-5 because we had two players up top. Yeah, that sort of setup. And it was working in that first half. It was working. We were creating a good number of chances. We scored 2 goals. And that first, 20 minutes or so, 20, 25 minutes maybe, was really, really good. It was really, really good. Now, it's terrible from Spurs. And we had this image at half-time that I showed you. I don't have it now. But it was when Basuma lost the ball and he's surrounded by 6 City players. And of course he should do better not losing the ball. But Spurs just had 0 midfield presence. So it meant that if they did lose the ball, then they were going to be in trouble. And Dragusin should have done better as well. Shirky, it's a glorious goal. And we continued to play really well. Haaland should have scored the little dink to make it 2-0. Even in the first half, the game was getting away from City a little bit. A little bit of sloppiness came into our play. And perhaps that foreshadowed what was to come in the second half. Spurs gave us so much space. So it meant that when we lost the ball, we could win it back really easily. because of how much space they were affording us. So it wasn't too much of a problem. I suppose in hindsight, the warning signs were there. Thankfully, Spurs make another error. Rodri straight into Bernardo. Bernardo cleverly into Semenyo, and Ant scores. It's a great time had by all, unless you're a Spurs fan or Dragusin. Shirky, glorious to force an unbelievable save from Vicario. Fantastic, obviously. And wonderful ball by Donnarumma. I was really impressed with Donnarumma today. I think True Citizen said, I think that's his best game for us. I think I agree. Because it wasn't just... Because Man United was his best game from a shot-stopping POV, but this was his best game overall, I would say. Shot-stopping and ball-playing, and just like being calm and collected, claiming the boss. I would actually say this was Donnarumma's best game of the season, to be honest with you. Haaland assist. Yeah, so yeah, for the first goal, yeah. So we could have scored more in the first half, but we scored 2 goals. We did our work. And then we know what happened in the second half. We know what happened structurally. Spurs brought on Sarr. They actually had a midfield. They went 4 back. They played 4-4-2. They're more compact. They're trickier to break down. But why did it go wrong for City in terms of the individual goals? Let's now touch on that. Yeah, big up, by the way, to Bernardo, because I felt he was the best player on the pitch in that first half. Like, he was ridiculous. He was properly really good. So, shout out to him. I thought he was really good. And there are lots of good performances in that first half, actually. Gahey, Kusanov, Donnarumma, Semenyo, definitely Bernardo Silva, Shirky, Haaland got an assist, could have done better in front of goal, but overall he played well. So there was some nice through balls he was doing in behind. O'Reilly was okay. I think there was a question mark sometimes, but I thought it was good. I thought it was competent, and Donnarumma, as I've said, was excellent. Nunes was probably the only player in the first half where I thought, you've struggled a little bit, to be honest. Outside of that, everyone was great. Goods to great. Second half. First, second, worse. We know why, but let's talk about the goals now. It comes from... we were discussing this on the Watchalong, so if you weren't here, you won't know this conversation. Allow me to repeat it. That's the first time we've seen that back four start a game this season. Someone correct me, but I think we have established that. In the second half, Semenyo wasn't good, but first half I thought it was fine. Well, he scored the goal. That's the key thing. That's going to be the thing with Semenyo. I think there was an LB tweet which I really agree with. He said something like, Semenyo is the opposite of Doku in that Doku will do loads of fantastic stuff in the game, but may not get an actual goal or assist, and he'll be involved in everything. Whereas Semenyo is a player who'll be quiet, and he'll be like active all game and involved in everything. Whereas Semenyo is a player who may not be involved for large portions of a game. He might be really quiet, might be having a bad game, but then he'll crumb up with a goal or an assist, something like that. So that was Semenyo in the first half. And that's obviously fine if you get the output. I agree, Rodri should have been sent off. Second half, that wasn't the case. So the first goal, first and foremost, the first goal. That's what I was saying, wasn't it? It's the first time we've seen this back four together. Now, is that the reason why they were so out of sorts for the line, the defensive line? Because I think it's Kusanov and Nunes, or is it Kusanov and O'Reilly at that point? Because O'Reilly was quite deep at that point, I think. They both want to step up, but Aït-Nouri doesn't. And what does that do? It plays Solanke, I think it is, onside. So that's the first thing to say, that the defensive line isn't good enough. Now, is that due to, I don't know if that's due to like faults or of an individual or fault of the defensive line. What isn't in dispute though, and I need to make it clear, I'm not like putting the blame at anyone's door. Excuse me, because that's silly. Any one individual, sorry. But for the first goal, Kusanov, unfortunately, is bad, I'm afraid to say. he gets bodied by Solanke. He gets off balance, and then and then that one shove from Solanke makes Kusanov an irrelevance for the remainder of the attack. He had a really good game up until that point, Kusanov as well. I thought he was fantastic in that first half, but Solanke just bullies him far too easily. You got to credit Solanke for that. And then there's a tangle of legs with Gahey and Solanke's. Don shouldn't be expected to save it. We actually had a Spurs fan who's also a referee in the chat, and he did think it was a foul, in fairness, by Solanke on Gahey, but the goal has gone in, and it's happened. So whether you think it's a foul or not, and I don't care, it's a goal, it's gone in, 2-1. That was at minute what? Minute 53. Plenty of time to not capitulate. But yeah, that was a shame. Kusanov had to do a lot better, especially considering that is his shtick, to do the move man thing. Solanke did do really well, of course. Second goal, and unfortunately, it had been coming. It had been coming. Because at that point, in the entire second half, as we have discussed, we just kept giving the ball away. We just kept giving the ball away. And if you keep giving the ball away, what happens? You're going to keep conceding attacks. You're going to keep conceding chances. And that's what happened. So something which might, if enough half chances or enough quarter chances happen, or if your opponent keeps getting into the dangerous areas of the pitch consistently enough, you're going to concede goals. We weren't able to construct any attacks at this point. I can't remember where we got our first shot on target in that second half, if indeed we even did at all. Did we actually? Towards the end, did we actually? Like, even have some shit ones, or... No, we didn't. Sorry, we didn't have a shot on target at all in that second half. At all in that second half, which is staggering. How many... What were our efforts before that? So, we had... Right, our first shot of the second half came in the 57th minute, and it was a blocked shot from Shirky. Gahey then did that header from the corner, but that's not really creating anything necessarily. Yeah, so that's all. That's literally all we had up until the second goal. We had a Shirky blocked shot from nowhere, and then we had a Gahey corner header, which is nothing. Exactly, Fenway, exactly. If you don't sustain possession, you're not going to be able to construct attacks. Then the second goal was scored, and it was still Spurs, who were the more likely team to score. Donnarumma saved us a few times. And then we had a good chance to score, that Reinders header, where he maybe could have left it for Rodri. He should have done better there, but that's the 78th minute, and it's too late. It's too late by that point. You've lost your 2-0 lead. And that comes from, as Fenway says, not being able to sustain any real possession or pressure in the game. Second goal. I think O'Reilly has to do a lot better. Like, you credit Gallagher, obviously. Like, Gallagher did really well to win it back, and that is the sort of player he is. And the cross he did also is very good. But I don't think it's good enough by our players to get beaten in the midfield that quickly and that easily, and to lose the ball that quickly and easily. So I've got to ask questions of O'Reilly for that one. I'll look back at it, see if there was anything interesting before then. But it did seem to me that O'Reilly was a little bit to blame there. And it's a ridiculous goal, obviously. It's insane. It's an insanely good finish. But we can't chalk it off in saying, oh, we only didn't win because of a scorpion kick. Nah, it had been coming. And we got very fortunate that Donnarumma had such a good game. And that's not acceptable. That isn't acceptable. The goals had been coming. Even then, Spurs kept the pressure on, and they kept trying to attack. It's not like we... Reinders did have a couple of good chances, but... Good question, Spartacus. Indeed, Fenway. And that's ultimately the... I agree, True Citizen. That is a tale of the tape. That's how we failed to win the game. A lot of fans sitting on Pep, says Mitchell. You guys know me. I think I am able to be very honest with Guardiola, with my assessment of Pep. there weren't many people having a go at Guardiola in hindsight there were. At the time, it felt like I was in a big minority, which is an oxymoron. I was very critical of Pep in 23-24, very critical. So you guys know, if I feel like he's made a stinkiness, I will be happy to say that. I don't really think that today can be on Pep, though. The only thing I can really think of is, could you have brought on Foden a bit earlier, for example, rather than just in the 90th minute where it's irrelevant? Because with the game is going away from us, and Foden is a player who can bring control to a game. But even I think I'd be clutching at straws if I tried to say that that's the reason why we weren't able to do something. If we had Doku available, that would have helped, obviously. I think someone said I miss Doku. Yeah, he perfect for games like this. Perfect for games like this, where control's going away from you. As we know, these problems are also ever present, even when Doku is on the pitch. Yeah, I agree, Fenway. I will always criticize Pep if I feel like it's valid, and I will always question Pep when I feel it's valid. I hate the appeal to authority fallacy. I don't give a shit if Guardiola is the greatest football manager in the world. Hey, he's a human being, and errors happen. I don't think today is one of those days, personally. I don't think that's the main storyline from today. I don't think that if you were on the fence of Pep in or Pep out, I don't think this is the game to make you change your mind, personally. Not in an isolated game perspective, anyway. I think it's a bit trickier than that. I'm going to come to the chat now, and then we're going to do player ratings. How does that sound, team? How does that sound, team? Oh dear. Sorry, I'm just getting banned by a Spurs fan. One sec, guys. Right, what's going on? Who am I? Kasanov very weak for the first goal. Yeah, not good enough from Kasanov, to be honest. It's not about blaming one individual, obviously, but I think that is a fact. How did Tajani get a black eye? I don't know. Second goal, bad defending. Yeah, gave it away too quickly. How do we blame Foden for this? Yeah, it's Foden's fault. It's Lewis's fault. It's Savio's fault. It's Kyle Walker's fault. Etc, etc, etc. Spurs should have scored more goals in the second half. I agree. Exactly, triple pivot and Choya. Pep has to do something about the second halves. And this is the problem. There's not that... I don't know if there's that much that we can do based on the players that we have. That's the problem. Maybe Steve, but I don't know if that really helps. Bringing on Ryan instead of Foden, we need to control a game is a stinker. That's a good point, to be fair. I guess that's probably something I've overlooked there, because it's not the case of it's not even the case of bringing on Foden. It is more so the case of you brought on Reinders. If Shirky was injured, he was injured, obviously, but that's a good point, I guess, Ash, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. Every player was under 7 out of 10. Nah, Donnarumma. The weakest part of Pep's game has always been the in-game management RE subs. Yeah, if there is something to criticise, I guess it would be that, in fairness. Looking at the Spurs injury list. That's the thing as well, man. Oh, I nearly smashed my glass. Jesus Christ. Richarlison, Kudus, Bentancur, Bergvall, Madison, Kulishevsky, Pedro Porro, Ben Davis, Van der Ven. What was that ridiculous stat? They had 12 outfield players, senior outfield players that they could pick from. Even their subs looks dangerous. Odebear, Tell, Sarr. In that second half. Staggering. Staggering. It's like the Chelsea game. How many players were they without? Sorry, my uncle was texting me. I just gave him the room code. I think so, Kamar. I think so. I don't want to call it, but I'm going to call it. I agree, Varna. I agree. I've not really been enjoying a lot of the systems I've used off ball this season. Generally, that's a wider point more so than an individual point. But yes, I totally agree. Again, Gavardio being out really doesn't help. It's my fault. It's always my fault. Could Curva come back this month? I thought that he was like done basically for the season. Why can't our senior players get a hold of these games? Rodri, Donnarumma, Hall, and Bernardo. Because it's not as straightforward as that, MK. It's not as straightforward as that, unfortunately. If it were as simple as take the game by the scruff of the neck, then they would have done it by now. But it's not that straightforward. A lot of these players just don't have the traits / attributes that are required given the current football meta. Look like us against Podo, yeah, exactly. Mind the gap, absolutely, Guna. Do you think you're going to win the title, mate? Yeah, I think you probably are. Yeah, I thought Donnarumma was winning the match and wasn't even close. Players like Foden and Shirky and Foden give control. We used to have so many players like that early, no fighting spirit. Yeah. If Shirky goes off, and Shirky is one of those players, even though I don't think he was having a second half like that, but he still is one of those players generally, then yeah. That's not confirmed, Fenway, but I'm pretty sure that the injury he's had at the age he's had is basically like a you're done thing. Thank you, Mr. Perfecto. There you go. Achilles injury. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Too much blaming. Yeah, we are dead against that on this channel, Mr. Mamba. I don't have a problem with blaming individuals for certain things, but that's not the story. I'm also big on the truth, and that's not the story of our season. And I really hope that we're now, as a society, as a city society, able to agree that doesn't really what collection and rotation of players you use. These issues are here to stay this season. They are here to stay. Title race is shit this season. We are still in second place, given how stinky we've been. Yeah. Foden wasn't needed. Well, the second half says different. A type of player like Foden, or it could have been Nico. Could have been Nico as well. Maybe that could have changed things. Perhaps. We'll never know. Obviously, yeah. Nico, G, and Foden on earlier. Perhaps. But there we go. Yeah, Holland did need to do better, but again, I'm reluctant to put the majority of blame at the attackers. Have we talked about Haaland? Yeah, not extensively, but yeah, he shoved another. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we're talking about individual players now. Fenway's right. Let's move on to player ratings, where we can talk more in depth about a lot of these players. I think that's what we should do. If you're in charge, what needs... I am in charge! Read the standing orders. Read them and understand them. I take charge. Yeah? Shout out lockdown memes. If you're in charge, what needs to happen between this and next season to get next year's title? No, that's the thing. I don't know what can be done. Oh, sorry, in the summer. Get me the midfielder that we've been crying out for since Gundogan left. Get me a right back. That's a start. That's a start to the time after. Let's get on to player ratings now, and we can talk at length about the individual performances of our starting players today. Let's do that. Let's do that, shall we? Guys, I'm doing this on the Fanalysis app. If you guys would like to download the app, it's called Fanalysis. You can rate players. You can see what people have rated them. You can fanalize the match. That's fair, Fenway. I'm sorry about that, mate. You're going through a lot. Okay. We're going to start good. We're going to start with the best player on the pitch, in my opinion. Donnarumma. He should have had an assist, right? That was a straight up ball to Shirky, wasn't it? His long pass in that first half. I think that would have been an assist, right? Or am I misremembering? Am I misremembering? Either way, his long pass created the opportunity. I can't remember if it was a direct thing or not. That was lovely. But oh, by the way, guys, we're doing player ratings right now. Give me your score. If you want to do 0 to 10, that's fine. Give me some decimals, though. Don't just make them integers, unless you think it is a whole integer. Feel free to use decimals up until 1 decimal place. Briefly, this is the scoring system. I'm going to do it from 0 to 100, just because that's what the app does. 50 is average. 6 or 60 is above average. 7 or 70 is good. 8 or 80 is great. 4 or 40 is below average. 3 or 30 is like bad. 2 or 20 is like a very bad. 1 or 10 is detrimental to the team. So starting with Donnarumma. Really good ball playing. Okay, Spurs gave us a lot of space in that first half to have all the time, but hey, he still did it really well, and he kept it from being a loss in that second half. Let's be honest here. So I believe that is his best game for City, because the ball playing was really good, and yeah, no, only put you number 1. Thank you, Jack. And the shot stopping was equally as really good. There was some really impressive, important saves. I'm going to start this with an 8. Because an 8 is great. That means he had a great game, and I think he had a great game. Not a brilliant game, but a great game. I'm going to give him 84, I think, because I was super impressed with his shot stopping, but I was even more impressed with his ball playing. In fact, I'm gonna go even further. I'm actually gonna put it on the cusp. 85 or an 8.5. So that's in between having a great game and a brilliant game. I thought he was wonderful. Really, really happy with Don. If that is like a typical performance from Don, then hey, I'll be well on board with the signing, and my fears will be alleviated. Thank you, Spacey, for following the Twitch. Gahey, it's quite funny because on Fanalysis, he's in the Crystal Palace shirt, which is quite funny. They need to update that. Gahey. The goal did not go down as an own goal. I don't think he can be at fault for the first goal. In fact, people have said that he was actually fouled. I thought Gahey had a strong game. I thought he was fantastic in that first half. When he was stepping out and being aggressive in that first half, that was lovely to see. There was a moment where he did give away the ball in the second half, but then he did really well to deal with it and get City out. So I actually thought that he can't really be at fault for either goal, I would say. I was really happy with his performance. I thought that he had a good game, to be honest with you. I thought he had a good game. Even in the second half, what did he do badly in that second half? I don't think he was at fault for either goal, as I say. I'm pretty chill. He won all 7 of his aerial duels. That's fantastic. yeah, really impressive in that first half. Of course, he wasn't as good as in the second half, but no one was. No one was. So I'm going to say, so I would have said he had like a high 7 game in that first half, probably a low, probably like a mid 6-ish game in the second. I think that balances out as a 71. That's what I'm going to give him. Aït-Nouri. When did he actually go off the pitch? Did he go off just before we conceded the second goal? So he can perhaps have some... avoid blame, sorry, for that second goal, because he was obviously not on the pitch. Get your player rating in for Aït-Nouri. What are we saying? He did a really lovely run in that first half. He was providing a lot of width on that left side as the outlet. There wasn't too much he was doing in that second half that I can really recall. I thought we'd probably be talking like a high 6 from the first half and then maybe like a low 6 in the second, which probably balances out to something like either a high 5 or a low 6. I'm feeling a low 6 instinctively, but what do you guys think? What are you saying? What are you saying? I know, right, Colm, crazy. 7.9, 72, 6. Oh, sorry, I think that's still on Gahey. 50 or 6, 60, 4.5, 6.2, 6.7, 6.5, 6.1, 59, 68, 8. That's very high, Spartacus. 6.2, 50, 5.9. For me, I'm going to say that he, generally speaking, the minutes, the number of minutes is also working against him here. I'm going to give him a 64. Give me a 64. Núñez, who was the worst player in the first half, so he might be one of the lowest rated players that we do today because of that fact. What are we saying for Núñez, guys? He did struggle in that first half. He wasn't to blame for either goal, but he is one of the players, and you guys know I've been very impressed with Núñez's development, but he is one of the players where we are a bit of a build-up frailty with Núñez, and there were a couple instances where we tried to build out wide, but we couldn't. And it's because Núñez kept giving the ball away. I don't know if there's going to give me a stat for how many times he lost the ball. It was only dispossessed once, which I find surprising. I wonder what that dispossessed stat is, because I definitely remember he lost the ball way more than that. Across the game. Maybe it's to do with inaccurate passes, perhaps. No, he only had 2 inaccurate passes. I don't know what that's based on them. What do you guys think? 6.6, 6 or a 7, 5.2, 5.5, 5.3, 5 to 5.5, 5.9, 5.3, 50, 50, 6, 5.5, 54, 55, 47... I think he had a below average game, so I'm going to give him a 4. I'm going to give him something beginning with a 4 because I felt he was below average. So I'm going to give him not too low. I'll give him, because he didn't do anything directly terrible. I'm going to give him a 49. But I felt he was below average today, so he's got to start with a 4 for me. If I felt he was below average, that means he has to start with a 4. And that might be the worst rating that we end up doing this stream. Kusanov. Oh, lovely first half. Really, really good. Wonderful. Move, man. We love to see it. Actually, no. There were a couple of annoying moments in that first half where he gave away bad fouls in dangerous areas, actually. He gave bad fouls in dangerous areas. That led to like the free kick towards the end of the first half. Thankfully, they weren't able to do anything with it. But generally speaking, he had a good first half. I've outlined my thoughts on how I felt that he was not good for their first goal, and there's nothing he can do for the second goal. So what am I? This is why it's so hard, because it's hard to rate these players when it's a game of 2 halves. If I felt like he would have had like a high 7 first half, what am I going to give him overall? I don't actually know. Well, I felt he was obviously worse than Gahey, and I gave Gahey 71. I think on balance, I'd probably give him something beginning with a 6, even though I didn't like what he was doing for the first goal. but I'm going to give him a low 6, I think. But what are you guys saying? 6, 6.9, 73, 9.1, okay. 6.1, 39, wow, that's low. 6.4, 7, 6.9, 7, 72, 64, 72, 6. Cut by Solanke, 39, 62, 69, 79. Got to embroil. That's a great verb. To embroiled with Solanke, I agree. 6.9, 6.2, 68. I'm going to go 63. 63 for me. Rodri. Let's be honest, guys. He should have been sent off. There were two moments. There were two moments in that second half where he could have had a yellow. Definitely one where he should have had a second yellow. Another really weird game to try to rank and review because he was so good in that first half. The switches he was doing were fantastic. He played the ball into Bernardo for our second goal. That was quick thinking and wonderful work by him. He was great. He was wonderful. He was fantastic. But the second half, he should have been sent off. And he wasn't directly to blame for the goals, but for a player who you associate with being the player to give City supreme control in the game, and it's tricky because he's coming back from injury. He did not provide that, and how many passes went astray? How many of those little dinks and switches did he do in that second half, which just did not work at all? But he was so good in the first half. It's hard. Won 8 out of 10 ground duels, 6 out of 8 aerials, 11 recoveries, only lost a ball, 19 defensive contributions is crazy, only 12 inaccurate passes, got the second assist for our second goal, but it's all about that second half, and those accurate long balls went off a cliff in that second half, actually. It went off a cliff, and he should have been sent off. So what are we saying for Rodri based on that? 5.8, 64, 7, 60, 7, 50. Should have been sent off, says Fenway. 62, 40, 50, 5.6. Phil Foden, 54. Reckless, 5.7, 7, 5.9. 55 or 60. First half elite, second half was way below average. And if I take into consideration that he should have been red carded, then what am I looking at there? I'm not looking at an average performance. I'm not looking at a below average performance. I'm now going into bad. I'm now going into really bad territory. I'm going into territory which begins with a 2. One could argue based on that second half and the fact that he should have been sent off. So I probably would have given him probably a high 7 for the first half. Maybe a low 8, and maybe a high 2 for that second half. What does that balance out to? Something beginning with a 4 or a 5? Question mark. I'm gonna begin it with a 5. I'm gonna go 52 personally. 52. Because of he should have been sent off. That's what I'm gonna do. This is FootMob Allison, yes. It is SofaScore as well. I'm just using it for some cheeky stats to hopefully help guide us. But I generally like to do it without if I can. You'll notice that my scores are nothing like FootMob scores because they gave Rodri an 8.1 and I've given him a 52. So I just ignore what the actual numbers are that they've done. Shirky. Lovely first half. Got the goal. Could have had a second. He's fortunate. No, he's not fortunate that he got injured. That's a stupid thing to say. But for the purposes of ratings, he's a bit fortunate that he's not going to get lumbered in with the rest of the players in that second half. The reality is that he also wasn't good in the second half either. So it's not going to be as low as the other players. But he was also culpable in that second half. And he was on the pitch for 25 minutes. So it was only 25 minutes that were not good, but they weren't good. They weren't detrimental, but he, like everyone, struggled in that second half. So this isn't going to be a low rating as a consequence, but I just wanted that to be known that had he stayed on the pitch and continued to play like that, he probably would be getting a lower rating. But as it is, I can only base off what actually happened. And he had a great first half. And I'd say of like the 25 minutes he had, they weren't that good. What are you guys saying? 7, 81, 7.6, 7.6, 65, 70, 75, 78, 77, 76. First half 8, second half 5, 70, 78.5, 67, 72, 70, 65, 79. I think for a game like this, Fenway, yes, I would agree with that. Yes. My main issue with that is when we're playing well. But if we're struggling, then yeah, do a Foden against Palace, do a Foden against Everton. If all we have is Shirky, then yes, I'd be well up for that. I would agree with that. If we need it, we need it. 7.4, 75. Because he could have had 2 goals, couldn't he? I'm going to still say he had a good game. I'm going to go 70. 70. That's what I'm going to do. No, I don't think... Do I think Gahey had a better game? Nah, 71. 71. Bernardo. Oh. I'm saying it every single time. Another tricky one. In my opinion, Bernardo was the best player on the pitch in that first half. He was fantastic. He got the assist. He won the ball back for their goal. He won the ball back for the first goal. He got the assist for the second goal. Very quick thinking to play it into Semenyo. Uber quick. He was all over the place. He was a proper leader on that pitch, putting an amazing defensive shift in. As always, vital to how we play off ball. And he struggled in the second half like everyone else, unfortunately. Everyone else. He was also in that list. But because the first half was so good, and because he wasn't like detrimental in that second half, I don't think Bernardo was bad in that second half. I thought it was like, whatever. So this is going to be quite a relatively high rating, because I don't think that he was necessarily bad in that second half. It's probably going to be a mid-7. I'm going to go mid-7 personally. Yeah, I'm going to go 70. I'm going to go 74. Because I thought he was so good in that first half, and I was really, really impressed. Really impressed. And the second half, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. He was like, whatever. So I'm going to go 74 for that. Right. Okay. O'Reilly. O'Reilly now. Tricky game for him. He played in midfield to start with. He moved to left back when Aït-Nouri went off. He should have done a lot better for their second goal. I don't think he was great in the first half. That's the other thing with O'Reilly. It's not like I can revert back to Bernardo and Shirky. I can say they had a great first half, so I'm not going to be as harsh. I don't think O'Reilly had he didn't have a great first half. It wasn't bad. For me, it was on the border of above average to good. So I think his first half was around a 69 or a 70. That area. But the second half, he struggled, and he was... there was an element of fault of him in their second goal, which is ultimately why we dropped the points. So I've got to hold that against him, unfortunately. So this is, unfortunately, or for O'Reilly, this might be the worst rating I give him all season. I think it's got to be low. I think it's got to be quite low. I think it's got to be like maybe even lower. No, well, Rodri should have got red carded, so maybe I won't give it as bad as... But Rodri had a way better first half. I think this has got to be lower than Rodri. I'm thinking something beginning with a 4. What do you guys think, though? 59, 6, 52, 55, 65, 54, 3, 58, 61... 50 to 55, 7.5, 5.9, 5.9. When Gavardo comes back, he plays left back. I'm not sure, Eddie. I'm not sure. 48. I'm gonna go 49. I'm gonna go 49. Below average performance from him. Had to do a lot better. Actually, yeah. I tell a lie. Nah. Is this gonna be the lowest rate? Was he the worst player? Was he the worst starter? Because of that second goal? Maybe. I'm going to stick with 49. Okay, Semenyo. He's going to say the thing, guys. Another tricky one to rate. He's going to say the thing. Ant-Man. As we said earlier, the thing with Semenyo is... Because I saw people say outside of the goal he was really bad. That's fair, that's valid. But sometimes that's the type of player that Semenyo is. He might do nothing in the game and then score. So he wasn't really involved that much in the first half, but he scored a goal. And that's why we've brought him in, isn't it? So that's good for the first half. But the second half, it was bad. It's yeah, exactly. We did get him to score goals, so he did his job in that first half. I go back to what LB said about the difference between Doku and Semenyo and the type of players that they are. You can't use the critique of all he did was score the goal because that's what he's here for, realistically, to get outputs. Chat, that's crazy from you. So I'm going to rate his first half a bit higher than what a lot of you guys are saying. So I'd probably give him like something beginning with a 7 for that first half based on that. The problem is that the second half, there was nothing, realistically. Well, there were some good moments where he was an outlet, actually. But he was losing the ball way too much. In a theatre, can't speak, whereby what we didn't need to have happen was losing the ball. I don't know what this dispossessed stat is, because it says Semenyo was dispossessed once. There is no way that is true. There is no way that is accurate. I saw it happen way more times. He lost the ball way more times. What does dispossessed mean? Does that mean you got tackled? Is that what that means? Because there's no way that's accurate. I don't know what that stat is. Opta. Sort out your life. Opta. What does dispossessed mean? Opta. The ground duels is more telling. 1 out of 9 is crazy. Semenyo is not a 1v1 winger in the traditional sense. You know this if you watch my analysis video. He's not Doku. He's very different. It's a hard one to judge. What are you guys saying? 6, 4, 6, 7, 61, 26, 7, 7. 6.6, 6.4, 42 is shirt number, 3.5, 37. Nah, these numbers are way crazy. 6.4, 5, 0 for the celebration. Oh, yeah, he gets bonus points for the celebration. 2.2, 4.2, 5.5, 51. Yeah, the duels is crazy. It's Opta though, Jack. They get their data directly from Opta, so it should be accurate. I just don't know what their definition of that is. He hasn't figured out when he should create a shot for himself or pass a hole / Shirky yet. It's understandable, but maybe he should be more selfish, maybe. Where am I going to put him? I think in the first half, I'd have given him I'd have probably given him a straight up 7. The second half, I'd probably give him like... high 4. Because of how many times he lost the ball. What is that as an average? Guys. I can't even bother doing maths right now. I think that my average works out to either a high 5 or a low 6. I think I'm going to go on low 6 because he did get a goal ultimately. I'm going to go 64. 64, 64, 64 Zoo Lane. Didn't watch that show. Let me know. Right, and finally, Erling. Big Earl. The boy. The Norwegian meat shield. The blonde beauty. The Leeds lads. The Nordic knobhead. The the sumptuous striker. High five. What are we giving for Big Earl? He got an assist. He did good for our first goal, playing it into Shirky, acting quick. Second half, I can't really remember what he did. Now, is that his fault? Is that his fault? Because should we have provided more for him? Perhaps we should have done. He missed that dink. That's a thing. It's annoying because there were a couple of good through balls that he did that were actually really good. I don't know if I want to give Haaland that lower rating. I don't know how much he's to blame for this. I don't really know. I don't think I'm going to go as low as you guys. Really. It's going to be less than Semenyo. Because Semenyo scored a goal. But Haaland got an assist. But Haaland could have done better with the goal. I'm thinking a high five. What are you guys saying? You watched my video last night? Which one? I have many. Jesus Christ. Lost the ball 18 times. That's insane. Wonder what they use. Well, I thought SofaScore used Opta as well. I've no idea then. Maybe I should use both. 5.5 average, low 5, 6, high 5, Semenyo 4.4, 5.3, 48, 45, 2, 54, 3, 12. Or is that 1.2? 1.4. Okay, that's not going to happen. 68. I'm giving him credit for earning a pen that should have been called. So that, unfortunately, that wasn't called because the starting contact began before the ball was in play. Even though I think that's bollocks because we say, don't we? Well, it's not in play, so it's a thing. But they say the thing of if the contact starts outside the area and then continues. Wait, what do they say to that? If the contact starts outside the area and then continues into the penalty area, is that a penalty? I feel like it's not. I'm getting the rules wrong now. I don't even know what the laws of the game is. That's what City can do to a man. Yeah, I fab. I am fab. 4.4 more hugs than goals. Brilliant. 6, 4, -9, 4.5. I agree, 5.8. He had 0 service in the second half, especially given how many times Spurs left in 1v1. Very good point. Yeah, I think I'm going to be way less harsh than you guys. I'm thinking way less harsh. I'm going to go... I was happy with my 58. I think I'm going to go 58. No, I'm not happy with that. No, I'm going to go 60. There we go. Okay. Guardiola. Lots of people saying it's Guardiola's fault. I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I agree. Henry. Yeah, I don't know if I agree that this should all be at Guardiola's door. Now, I will say that could he have made a change earlier? Could he have made a different change as well? There's no being protective, Ryan. To be frank, for a second, I don't give a shit about defending a player. Realistically, today, I don't really care. I'm always honest with my ratings. There's nothing to protect. He's a big boy and an adult, and he can look after himself. I'm just trying to be fair. Pep, though, could he have made the change a little bit earlier? Maybe. Could he have made a different change a bit earlier? Maybe. Is it his fault that we capitulated this game? I don't think so. So I'm not going to give Pep like a really low rating, but I might give him like a 5 or something, or a 50. As Fenway's done there. Just because it's whatever. Like, I don't think he was totally to blame, but at the same time, you could have done a bit more. So I think 50's fair for Pep. I think that's reasonable. 50 for Pep, I think that's reasonable. 3 for whatever was said at half time. That's far, Mary. Oh, rank the VAR performance. I think that Finalysis are planning to add rank. Oh shit, they've added it. You can rank the referee, who is called Robert Jones. If you said, a gun to my head, if you get this right, not only will I not kill you, but you get £1 billion. I've never heard of that guy before, ever. I promise. Robert Jones. I now know his name. I've never heard of Robert Jones. I'm not ranking the subs, by the way, because none of them came on early enough to make an impact, and that's the thing. Robert Jones, the referee, guys. What are we naming him? What are we naming him? What are we ranking Robert Jones, the referee? Because we can now rank the referees. What are we saying? I guess that's what am I saying? Nintendo, where's that from, mate? I guarantee that's bullshit. Where's that from? NPC name. 2.5 for the ref. Well, that's the thing. He should have sent off Rodri. And he didn't. So that's bad. If your job is to ensure that a player gets sent off or not and you don't do that job, then that's bad by definition, isn't it? The only problem is I don't want to rank it bad because then people go, oh, look, Nobbins ranked the referee bad. He thinks it was the referee's fault. Nah. It's bad from City. He should have sent off Rodri. Yeah, in it, true citizen. So what did I say? What? 5 was average. 4 was below average. 3 is bad. 2 is like very bad. I'm going to give him 33. Because he clearly had a bad game. You don't have to do much as a referee, but you have to get the big decisions right. And he didn't. And one would, you'll notice I've not even talked about, or spoken about rather, the first goal that was questionable as a foul. You guys are saying it was a foul. If I'm suggesting that that is also an error from the referee, they're probably going to bump it down to like 23. And in fact, I think I will. There we go. My fan analysis has been submitted. Done. Sorted. Sorted. Right, there we go. Play ratings, done. Locked in, locked and loaded. Smashed it. Well done, guys. In fairness, Fenway, there's no option for VAR, so I'm sort of bundling them all in because there's no VAR, it's just the ref. So maybe that's unfair of me. I'm bundling them all into one unit. We've got nearly 400 people watching. Thank you so much. Leave a like on the video. How many likes do we have, actually? To be fair, we've got over 200, so I'll let you off. I won't call you a... What is a worm? What's a worm? Is it a... It's not an arthropod. What's a worm? It's not a mammal, obviously. It's not an insect. Is it? It's not a fish, obviously. It's not a bird. What is a worm? Guys, what's a worm? What animal group is a worm? Oh, it's an invertebrate. Ah, I feel like I should have got that. Invertebrate animals, commonly called worms, include annelids, nematodes, flatworms, and maggots and grubs. There we go. It's an invertebrate. Should have got that. That means they don't have a spine, right? Is that right? An invertebrate? They don't have a spine. Or is it a backbone? Same difference. I don't know. Anyway. An arthropod is... What's an arthropod then? I don't know. Well, arthropods are also invertebrates. Ah. Oh, it's not what I thought it was. So arthropods are more wider general term for insects, spiders, and crustaceans. And there are subsections of arthropod. Understood. Understood. Guys, we're learning, guys. Guys, we're learning. Well, I'm learning anyway. You guys might already know. We've been live for 90 minutes, so please get your final thoughts in, and I will wrap it up. I don't know what a platyhelminth is, though. That's something else entirely, I think. I don't know, though. I don't know. Or is that a nematode? I don't know. City's midfield is an invertebrate. Brilliant. Final thoughts, guys. Final thoughts. That's not very nice. That's not very nice, True Citizen. It's outrageous. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, Matilda. It's crazy. Inverting fullbacks like invertebrate. Amazing. Any final comments, guys? Let me know. Let me know. I'll see you on Tuesday, matey. Yeah. There will be a video after this, which is in a more short form, basically surmising everything I've said in today's post-mortem. But if you want my immediate post-match reaction and see how calm I'm able to be, I did it all in one take as well. I'll try to do that. I think Foden should start every game regardless of form. He can give us so many options on the ball. There's no doubt in my mind that we're a better side with Foden in it, but I do think that he needs to sit out a few games because I'm concerned about the intensity of the minutes he's been playing so far. Love mollusks. Big up to scallops. Big up to scallops. When do I sleep? Wait, what? I'm sleeping... I'm going to go downstairs and watch something with Mrs. Nobbins and then sleep after that. Nana Nobbins is better than every member of the Nobbins clan. She's going to Anfield. She's not that well actually right now. Hope she's feeling a bit better for it. Nico O'Reilly's hairs worms amazing. Big up to you, Colum as well, who is one of my beautiful members. If you guys like my work here, Phone should be getting any hate. He didn't even play today, barely. Hello? What? If you like my work and you want to support me, of course, you can do that just by liking the video and being here. That's the first thing to say. The best way to support me, because people do ask, the best way to support me directly is to join the Patreon. The link is there. You can also sign up to the YouTube membership. You get similar perks across both platforms. You get exclusive videos every month. You get an ad-free viewing experience on the Patreon. If you subscribe to the YouTube membership, then you get a lovely highlighted name in the live chat. I fixed the member emoji. The rats are back. I fixed it. I learned what the problem was. I fixed it myself, actually, without even getting the creator of the widget involved. I fixed it, yeah? It was a really easy fix, but I did it. Big up to all of my beautiful supporters on the YouTube membership and the Patreon who help keep the lights on, literally. Thank you so much to everyone for watching. I hope you're able to get some value out of the stream. I know I did. I do like talking through these bad results because it helps me focus. Thank you, Jack. And yeah, there we go. That's the end of it. Next, someone asked when the next stream would be, and that would be Tuesday for Touchline Talk at 2. I'll also probably be on LB's channel tomorrow for LBins tomorrow morning, so feel free to join us for that, where we'll hopefully talk about the game even more. And, oh wait, no, yeah, sorry. We play Newcastle on Tuesday, don't we? Oh, and there'll be a post-match analysis video out tomorrow as well, where I will rewatch the game. Yeah, I'll rewatch the game, and I will try to, in a bit more detail, go into what went wrong. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Take care of yourself. I'll catch you tomorrow for that.